Good to go.
9 a.m. and I'll call this meeting of Price County Law Enforcement Committee to order. Clerk will call the roll, please.
There, Joe Baratka.
Here.
Bob Kopish.
Excused,
Larry Polachek.
present,
Patty Stephen. Here. Dennis Worko is excused.
excused.
You have a
Thanks.
quorum?
Thanks, Gene. Yep, we have a quorum, so public comment and communications. Is there anyone on line for communications? To unmute yourself, *6. Let the records reflect, luckily, no one's here for public comment. Any of the committee have any communications? Brian or Bob, you have anything for us? Okay. What's your pleasure of the meeting minutes of our June 6th, 2024 meeting?
I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Joe, second by Patty to approve. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Mr. Coroner, your moment in the sun.
11 calls in September and 8 cremations. And as we talked about, that we had that fatal motorcycle accident that resulted in an autopsy. I have, from what I can see, I have 2 vouchers for $1,660. And that's it.
Anybody have any comments on coroner's report? If not, I'll accept the report. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Always
For
a
your time.
pleasure to see
Appreciate
you.
it.
You going to stick around for the rest of the meeting?
Nope, I have a chiropractor appointment,
Oh, okay.
which I'm not looking forward to, but
Always good to see you.
keeps me going a little bit. Take care, buddy. Absolutely.
Don't let the doorknob hit you.
Thanks, you guys.
Yep, thanks. District Attorney Department report. You have anything for us, Nick?
Nothing out of the ordinary. They did hire a ADA that they share with Taylor County. Ian or Evan? Ian. Ian is the first name. I don't know the last name offhand, but I did talk to the district attorney about it. They will be housed down in Taylor County. They'll work 3 days down there, 2 days up here in person. Obviously, they'll split their time 50-50. You don't have to be located here to be doing work for Price County. So they did hire, I can't remember the exact start date, but it has happened. So that's a positive. They were worried about getting that split position because it is unique between 2 counties. Other than that, they're just trying to keep up. I know with the court system, no fault of anybody. When you have a new judge, it's obviously takes time to train, and our judge happened to be the previous ADA and DA, so a lot of the cases need to be reassigned to other judges because there would be a conflict. More of the current ones, so it's not like every case he's ever worked on, but if there was current cases he was working on, they have to be reassigned to a traveling judge, which isn't quick. So that's some of the holdups we see right now.
Any questions for Nick on the district attorney report? If not, I'll accept that. Clerk of Circuit Court Department report.
Positive up there is we're full staff. We haven't been full staff for a while in the clerk's office upstairs. Everybody seems to be doing well. They're now cross training. So past practice has been we used to have a traffic, a criminal, and then a fiscal, clerical, or a deputy clerk. And so now the traffic and the criminal are being cross-trained. So if one has vacation, it's more individuals can do those court dates. So that has been helpful.
Any questions for Nick on that? If not, I'll accept the Clerk of Circuit Court report. Here's the big one. Sheriff's Office Department report.
I was going to say I did so good with the other two. You want me to just get this, Sheriff?
Better be good. We haven't seen you in 6 months.
Oh, you've seen us. All right, going through the agenda, if you don't mind, Chairman Palachuk, is some of the staff updates, some of the things that you want listed on the agenda. Right now, currently, the full-time positions are all full. On the sworn side, Jacob Lex was our most recent acquisition for deputy. He has finished FTOing and now is fully vetted for active patrol. So on the road, sworn officers, we're fully staffed. Our last full-time jail officer, Jason Lazar, just finished his FTOing. We are fully staffed and now in the jail communication side of things. So at this point, we're just working on part-timers, which we have 3 people that we're looking at. One has already started part-time and in training. So backfill, vacation, sick time, trips, things of that nature. So again, working closely with Jennifer and Nick, we've been able to accomplish getting fully staffed finally in 6 years. So that's a bonus. The humane officer is busy as usual. Again, a couple hoarding situations that have occurred. We had to go and she went into a home and I think it was 45 cats. So we had to deal with that. So if you saw Mindy out in the back on the apron spraying off cages, that's because she had to get a number of cats into a trailer and then deal with that. So she's very active again.
What part
Kane,
of the county did they come from?
pardon?
What part of the county did they come from?
Oh, Northwest. Yeah. Nicholas?
Do you want to talk about, so we did recently work with Catkins on our updated contract. We have a tentative agreement on that. I think there is some confusion. We talk about like statutorily, we're not responsible for cats. And so we're doing some things with cats, but like in this situation, because it was a hoarding, then we are responsible for cats. So do you want to talk about a little bit of the difference of just hoarding
It's-
versus?
It's just
Bomb
kind of,
spray
well,
cat.
I think anyone who's watched hoarding or hoarders like on TLC or something, when you have a home filled with sometimes 150 animals, and if it's cats, if it's goats, it's whatever, we have to be concerned for the well-being of the animal and the human, obviously human health hazards that come with it. So again, those are some of the things that we have to deal with. Then we start making referrals to the DA's office, get human services involved. If there's kids, if they're elderly, a vulnerable adult, get the ADRC involved. So we try to be like a connection with these people with services the county has.
Are these,
Sure.
Just curious, like 45 cats, did they get taken to Catkins? What's the procedure? And are we responsible if they are taken to Catkins?
Yeah. Well, if you were the one working on it.
So with the 45 cats, so Mindy's involvement in that was working with the owners to get them spayed and neutered. So there was a free clinic, or I believe it was free. I'm not sure what the cost was, down in Eau Claire where Mindy worked. She trapped these cats and then she transported them down to the clinic. They were spayed and neutered. Because we don't have state law or ordinance prohibiting the number of cats there, I believe some of those cats were returned, not all of them, but then the ones that weren't returned were then brought to Catkins as a surrender. So, there was that, and then I believe there was one down in Catawba too that she was working on as well. So basically, she worked 2 cases at one time, where we bring the cats down, they go through the spay and neuter clinic. Some of the cats are returned, not all of them, but I want to say the number was 7 that we returned back to the owner, and then the rest were surrendered to Catkins to go up for adoption.
And then we're done with them.
Correct. Yes. So the only time really the county ever has a responsibility for the animal is if the animals are seized as evidence, and we have to maintain those animals throughout the duration of the court process. So once they're surrendered, we turn them over to Catkins, then the county is done with them.
Yeah,
Okay.
these
Thank
were
you.
more of a surrender, overwhelming number of cats, not a neglect. Neglect is where we start to get into some type of holding because it's a criminal
The
issue.
criminal aspect, yes.
Of those, all those 45 cats, they were all healthy or well-maintained or
Well,
well-fed, I should
I would
say?
say for the most part, they were fairly wild. I mean, Mindy was down there trapping them, you know, and so, and some of those cats weren't even, brought to Catkins. You know, there are several, you know, people who are willing to take cats as barn cats and stuff like that. And we will, you know, bring them to those farms that want them.
Okay, you say they were brought to Eau Claire? For
Yes.
spay and neuter? Who pays for that? And is it I know my daughter worked in Omaha, Council Bluffs. The animals that received at the shelter were brought to the, what's the community college where the vet students.
Mhm.
So the vet students did everything at a practically free price and gave them back to the shelter because the students needed animals to learn.
Right. And
Who's paying for the spay and neuter?
right, and I don't believe the county paid for the spade and neuter. But when Nick and I were speaking with Catkins, I do know that they travel a considerable distance to have the reduced cost for the spade and neuter and vetting and things like that. So, but I don't believe there was any cost to the county on this other than Mindy's time.
Yeah, and we don't have a local spay or neuter clinic that happens a reduced cost one, and we don't have a college or a veterinarian type school anywhere near. So, like Mr. Hahn was saying, that I believe once a month, Catkins takes a van full of animals that they're looking to get adopted out. They pay for that. Catkins deals with it. They take it. It was like Merrill, Eau Claire.
Merrill, Eau Claire, there was one other
One
place.
more, yeah. It's about 2 hours. And so we questioned, just in the conversation, we had that question is like, why are you taking it to Eau Claire? And it was, well, if we take it locally, it's like $200 and they can do one cat. If we take it, we can take up to 18 at a time to Merrill or Eau Claire. I can't remember what it was. It's like 50 or 60 bucks an animal, and they can do 18 in a day. So it's worth their time to travel with the animals. Again, that's processes at Catkins. In order to adopt them out, they have to be spayed and neutered. That's all on them.
In our conversations pre-COVID, it sounded like they had like these traveling clinics
Yeah.
that would come around, but it sounds like those have gone by the wayside now.
They do use a vet over in Hayward too.
Was it Hayward?
It might have been Hayward that, yeah.
They named 3 or 4 places. I do remember Eau Claire and Merrill for some reason, but Hayward sounds right. I think you're right.
Okay, so these 45 cats aren't gonna cause a distress to,
No, surrenders are the best thing an individual can do when we go through a process like this is fill out the paperwork or say, yes, I would surrender them. Upon surrender, it's no longer a criminal and or our responsibility. We assist, get them to Catkins. Catkins takes over. It's when somebody goes, the one that we had last year was, we went to the home, we found these animals, we believe there was neglect. We said, hey, you're neglecting these. I want those cats. I'm not surrendering them. So we hold on to them through the court process saying you are neglecting. We're charging you with something. We need the courts to tell you that you are required to surrender them. So in that period of time, it's our responsibility because we found that there's neglect. If the individual, even if they were neglecting, but we can get them to sign off and say, you're right, I neglected them. I just can't afford to do this. I don't have the time, whatever it might be, personal reasons. If they surrender, they're no longer our cost. It goes to the Catkins. Now we have a contract, so we're helping with that, but it does take, it's not above and beyond our contract like the one we had last year.
So just so I understand that Catkins contract that we talked about yesterday, the contract itself is for things that are our responsibility when somebody doesn't surrender and we have, or when they surrender, that's part of this also, that contract?
Surrender is like what? So we partner with them to keep space available for dogs because statutory, there's a whole different thing with dogs. We're partnering with them saying, we have the ability to bring surrendered animals to you. There's just no additional cost above and beyond. So we're just saying, this is what we believe the total cost is for you to be our location, to be a drop for the surrenders. And then the statutory dog issue, which is a timeline. Is it 4 days or 7 days, or it used to be something different. What there's above and beyond the contract would be the criminal or neglect. So it's like a daily cost. I think cats are $10 a day. Dogs are a couple bucks more a day. That's where it goes above and beyond we're just having an agreement.
So when it's a surrender case, there's still a cost to the county because we have to have a contract with Catkins to hold that. So
Correct.
there's
Not
still
to hold it, but
to have the space for them.
yeah, and
Okay.
I don't want to use this word, but dispose of it to take care of the animal and adopt it out, or do with whatever. There are no kill shelters, so that's their MO.
So we're subsidizing their operation, so we have a place to,
Correct.
Take
Otherwise,
animals.
we would go find these 45 cats, and we would have to figure out what to do. So there are there are
Right.
our drop
Yeah,
box,
and I was just
our
trying to
drop
make it
point.
right in my head when you made the statement that at once they're surrendered, there's no longer our responsibility. We have no responsibility to them, but the contract is somewhat of a responsibility.
We have no people responsibility or like court responsibility. We have a fiscal agreement to be that caregiver. Now, I can't remember when we talked our negotiation, they talked about like how long it takes to adopt some of these out. That's not what we put in consideration. It was the having a facility available to say it's yours. It's not our issue to find farms and to find whatever. And I can't remember, they used to adopt them out quite quickly, and now it was like 3 months on a cat, and the dogs can go from 10 days to 9 months depending on personality. And the problem with the dogs is you could, if they continued to be able to take animals from the south, what they no longer do, that we're not subsidizing anyway, but what they would used to do is they would get animals from the south that were highly adoptable, whether they were puppies, they were well trained, well ready to go. They would bring those up from the south, charge you $200. It was a free, everything, all the vet service was done down south. They would make $200. Now with statutory requirements, if we find a dog or we have somebody surrender a dog, they have to take that. And it may be they use terminology, but it's not that they're not adoptable. They have personality issues. They're difficult to find homes. So then,
They're diamond dogs. They're Cole's
yeah.
diamond
No,
dog. My
yeah,
daughter.
I've
has
got
one
it
of
now. I
those.
just wanted to understand how that all works.
Yep. So
yep.
we're I don't want to call it subsidized because it is their responsibility.
All right, thank you.
Going on to the K-9 units, the fundraiser in July went well. They fundraised for 3 hours about just over $2,000. Kane has been active, got a number of hits and a number of arrests in the county. Dixon, Joe took some vacation, but Joe's back on, and they just did some training exercise over in Oneida County. Recreational officer. The 23-24 ATV claim came in at 86.5%. The 23-24 snowmobile claim came in at 100%. So those will be reimbursements that will come back in. With that, I know Bob Kopish had asked for the boat patrol numbers, which I have in front of me. So that at some point that will be reimbursed. We'll see what numbers we get off of that. Equipment needs, things that we've already talked about at the previous meeting, portables, tasers, body cams. I've been talking with the county or with Nick in regards to moving forward with a number of the capital projects. The problem I see in the future is the cloud-based storage. Milwaukee County, and or Milwaukee PD, one of them is dealing with that where they wanted to switch from one cloud-based to another cloud-based, and now that company is basically saying you can't have it, it's our property. So that's a problem I could see in the future with dealing with cloud-based storage for our body cameras, squad cameras, dealing with any kind of storage that we would have. So I'm against cloud-based storage. I'd rather have it here and accessible to us. So that's kind of lessons learned from Milwaukee, and listening to some of the other sheriff's offices dealing with that. So then the jail, I guess one of the parts of my report I want to bring up is the jail. As Larry so much talked about, we did have, and it was publicized, obviously, we had a individual that was on work release or Huber law, which were required to, they get a job, they get to go out and work. The individual made a decision to, I guess, stretch his legs, so to speak, and took off. The man hours that were put into it were quite a bit. We do have some overtime that will be incurring from this, obviously, but a lot of resources were put in, and the individual was located. We do know that he did leave the area for a period of time towards the Eau Claire area and then returned. So he was recaptured last night. Press release was out that he's been recaptured. Just to make you aware that if you see the vouchers and stuff like that, the jail is full. I do send a letter, or Danny sends a letter, email to the judge, the DA. Currently, as of the 14th, we had 27 inmates in-house. We're only supposed to house 22. And we have currently 9 out of county. 2 are in Iron County and 7 are in Oneida County. And then, of course, we have EMP, which I have 4 or 5 people on EMP. And then we have some other, like someone housed in another county they're certain as far as a Huber transfer. Electronic monitoring program, the bracelet. So I have people that are working and that they're on bracelet, they're under house arrest. Just to give you, so if you do see some numbers coming out of these particular counties, that is why you'll see some costs. And we started out many years ago, we were probably at $200,000 housing out of county. We're now down to 17 to 25, somewhere in that range. So we are trying, and the staff is really doing a really good job upstairs in the jail.
Brian, what was the EMP number?
Currently I'm at 4, I believe, 4 or 5.
We'll discontinue that with our jail population being this high,
Yes, currently,
foreseeable future.
yes, I do. We have several, I want to say like 9, 10 unsentenced. I think I've got 10 unsentenced sitting right now. The longest is D'Artagnan. He's been in there 2 years, over 2 years now. We got a couple now. There's 2 more coming up that have been there over a year. So the county jail is not set up for someone more than a year generally. When you start getting into the 2-year problem, that's because there's no programming per se. Prisons have programming. They have where you can go to counseling. You got work development, stuff like this. These are unsentenced and they have to go through court yet. So you can't let them out to go on Huber because some of them have high bonds, $75,000, $25,000 cash bond. So you can't release them to the community.
Weren't we doing a welding program at one time here?
The virtual welder, yes, we did. When we had some time to do that and get with NTC. I know that we've talked about GED programs, as you see, that's part of the budget with the jail. So we try to get some, I guess, partnering with NTC, but again, with the volume of inmates we have, there's a balance and you can't always deal with some of the programs you'd like to deal with because you're dealing with all the inmates. Does anyone have any questions for me as far as the sheriff's office?
So that with the 1 and 2 year individuals that are still there, is that a court delay problem as far as not sentencing, or I guess
I
to
think
understand it a little bit more?
And it's not fair to put it on the judge right now, which I would have no problem putting it on the judge. But since there was a transition, when you have a judge leaving, a new judge coming in, you have this transition with the DA leaving, assistant DA, and then you've got a lot of these things going on. And of course, things get missed. There should be a process to get these individuals through. But again, if they waive, if they don't ask for a speedy trial, the process takes time. There's problems with the public defender's office not having enough of them and getting someone within the community, and some attorneys reject it because they're not getting paid enough. So that's another issue. So it's a total package coming upon these individuals.
Okay.
That puts stress on them and it puts stress on the system and on the jail staff. So we try to balance all that we can.
So, thanks for helping me understand that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Are there any other questions for the sheriff or our chief deputy? Oh. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Bobby. What's your pleasure on the vouchers? They've been around and signed? Patty?
Question. If I read right, it's drone 17,000. Did we buy a drone? Hopefully, yes.
Yes, we bought the drone. We had budget, or last year, I think it was 45. That was from last year. We were able to downsize our platform, get a smaller drone, and then take the excess with your approval, the county board's approval, to go and get the camera system that the chief deputy was talking about, I believe at executive. Yeah, so we're able to do that.
Okay. Ballistic helmets, $1,567. How many helmets is that?
That's probably 3.
Okay.
That was a donation though. So, I mean, I think we got $12,000 in donations this year. I believe. I'd have to look at the revenue side of things.
Okay. And then professional fees for sick kitten.
Vet service, that would probably came out of animal control or humane officer.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a time where we're responsible in the contract for, like, if we go in and there's a criminal case, we pay the vet fee until the surrender or something like that. So that might have been what that.
So Mindy was something like that. Mindy will go up to Catkins, get the cat, take it down to the vet service, Dr. Ben, and then return the cat back up.
Yeah. And I know it's all about principle. I'm like, what kitten is worth $153? Like if you went to the pet store, what would you buy a kitten for? But I know it's all,
Don't say that to Cat.
So,
it's
you
all
know,
about the process.
the
Yes.
the unfortunate part about Mindy's job too is there, we have some of these animals, like a cat, and the kitten that I think you're referring to, that was probably a euthanization cost.
Oh, okay.
So Mindy is not certified yet to euthanize animals. Believe it or not, you have to be certified to do that. And so, when we have these animals that are, domesticated or what have you, that are hit by cars or injured to the point where they can't be revived, we do have to euthanize them. So I do believe that that was a euthanization cost.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all.
That's all you have, Patty?
That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, could I ask a quick follow-up?
Sure.
Is Mindy training to get euthanized?
Yes.
I mean, not euthanized, but to be able to do that service.
Yes. So we are hoping next year to send Mindy to the school, I believe it's in northern Illinois, to be able to euthanize animals.
Just cats, Brian. Okay, any other questions? If not, what's your pleasure on the vouchers?
Motion to accept?
Motion by Patty,
I would second that.
second by Joe. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We need to set the date for our next meeting. We probably shouldn't wait so long next time.
Whatever you want.
We need one in November?
If you want, was this too long for you, you feel?
Well, yeah, from June until October.
Maybe December?
For 2 months, 3 months?
What dates are open in December?
Probably the whole month.
It's a delight.
It's a light month, yeah.
Not the third Wednesday.
Yeah, there
I'm gonna
are
end
a
up-
few.
Bob and I are gonna end up in Ashland.
The third Wednesday?
We usually do
Not
the third Wednesday in
Oh,
Ashland,
I won't be here after the 14th through the
just as long as it's not that. day.
21st.
12th. Thursday.
Well, you won't be here either then, will you?
You,
Is
Jules is doing a
Jules,
bang up job. She'll handle things.
is she going to do that after you're gone?
Yep.
Huh?
Yep.
We don't know. We don't know who's been.
Yeah, we don't know who the deputy will, what a deputy will be appointed.
She will
Well,
be the deputy.
We don't even know who
her
the clerk
role.
will be yet.
Why don't we wait till January then?
Okay,
Sure, December's a quiet month.
you want to set a date or just wait? We
What
got
would you rather
January-
do, Brian? Set a date now or to be determined?
I guess, well, the new clerk coming in, I guess that's something that the board, this you guys, as the county board can determine. And we work with her on that, yes.
16th is open.
January 16th, let's do it then.
Okay,
Okay, January 16th at 9 o'clock.
WCHA. I think it's early,
last year it was kind of late in January.
but it would be over by that Thursday.
Yeah, it would be.
Yep, yep.
Yeah,
Okay, so January 16th it is.
yes. Okay, and with that, we'll adjourn to the evidence room.
If someone could just let me know what time you're done.
Okay. Thanks, Gene.
You want the vouchers up by you or let's leave them here? The vouchers? You want me to leave them here?
Yeah, just leave it.